Hey everyone, for our last demo, we're going to visit Germany. And remember, I'm trying to pick dishes that are fairly simple with limited amount of ingredients. And actually, the German beef roll that we're going to prepare, you could do by itself. I'm going to plate something up with some suggested sides, accompaniments. What I've already done, and if you can get a close-up of this for me, you can see that I've taken some beef round, or in this case it was labeled beef sandwich meat, and I have pounded it to 1/4 of an inch. I used a meat mallet, but if you don't have a meat mallet, you can always use a bottle or a rolling pin. I wouldn't probably go out to the garage and grab your hammer, but I suppose you could. You put plastic wrap over the beef and you pound it thin. And then you take a nice Dijon mustard, or in this case we took a nice German mustard, and we spread it on one side. We laid down some bacon, and then red onion, and then a dill pickle. And I rolled it and tied it, okay, with kitchen twine. I think it's probably necessary to tie this. If you don't, it's going to become unraveled. And actually, what I'm going to do for you, as you kind of film this up close and just get another look at it, I'm going to set up so that I can cut the twine once it comes off. And we'll just do that over here. So what I want to do next is I'm going to just take these off, and you can hold them to keep them hot, okay? And we want to finish this gravy. So this is a typical, we've got beef stock, by the way. It was simmering for over an hour. We're trying to make it as tender as possible, and really you can see the pickle hanging out at one end, right, and the bacon is all inside. What I want to do is bring this back up to a boil, and that's more for making sure that I get my flour and water mixture incorporated in the proper heat. If I don't have the proper heat and I keep thinking, oh, this gravy isn't getting thick, then, and I keep adding more flour, then I might end up with a paste, and that I don't want to do. So we take our flour and we whisk it in, right? If you can't get all of the flour incorporated, sometimes it might be best to strain it afterwards to get those lumps out. Some people like to use cornstarch, a cornstarch slurry. Slurry is just a starch and water, or a starch and liquid that would be used for thickening. So we're going to keep whisking this. You know, the one thing about making this is it wasn't as fast, obviously, as our Niçoise salad or our Danish smørrebrød, because we have to let it simmer for so long, right? So let's let that cook on here for a little bit, and if my camera person could come over while that's cooking, we're going to let that cooking. If you could come over this way, and we'll talk about the rest of this plating. So I'm going to take a piece of my German beef roll, and I'm just going to take some kitchen shears. You could also use a knife, obviously, and I'm just going to cut this off. Before I started with the beef broth, I browned the sides on this beef roll. Okay, so we got a little bit of color on here in order to make it a little bit more attractive, and also to bring out some of the flavor. Now what's nice about this is we're going to just serve it with the seam side down, and I am serving it with some traditional German sides. We've got some actually jarred red cabbage, okay, I didn't make this myself, and some nice potatoes. You could also use sauerkraut if you wanted to, believe it or not, on the side. Okay, so let's come back over here. Let's just check our sauce. We may not get it as thick as we want for this demo, or else I might be keeping you too long on video. We have a little bit of a lumping process, so if my film person would just keep videoing that, and I will grab a quick strainer. Now, one thing you want to do, obviously, is taste before you serve this up. And you want to adjust for salt and pepper if needed. Okay. Now, I'm going to use this gravy right now. It could be a little bit thicker, but the longer I cook it, if I added more flour, it would probably get there. So I'm just going to use a tiny little strainer, and we're going to just put some of the sauce in here, strain out any lumps of flour. As you can see, that's all we're doing. Okay. And then we're going to come over here. You could serve this on the side if you wanted to. This is a little bit more of an au jus right now. Our attempt would be, or our goal actually would be, to get it more gravy-like, a little bit thicker, okay? And while we're here, we'll put a little on the potatoes. And then we're going to just hit it with a little bit of parsley. And I'm going to clean that plate up a little bit. Clean the plate. And voila, we have a German beef roll. The initial prep, not too bad. Most of it's spent in cooking time. And there we go. Okay? It's going to